Okay.
And Becky, do you want to go ahead and explain to the public as well?
Yes. So, I'm calling the Tree and Beautification Committee meeting to order. We are recording this. And in my opinion, according to our rules of council, we can request that individual committee meetings be recorded. That applies to all committee meetings. And I am going to make it a precedent in the future that all of the committees I'm in charge of will be recorded. So there's no question about what is said, and the public has a chance, if they're working and can't come to this meeting but would like to know what we're doing, to have an opportunity to hear. So, with that said, everyone, publicly, we're all in favor of recording the meeting? Yes?
Okay by me.
Is there a motion? So Becky's placed the motion, is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
all in favor.
Is there a second? We need a second motion.
Yep, got it.
Yep. Thank you, Jacob. All in favor? Any objections?
Aye,
Aye.
no objections. Okay, so with that said, we do have a pretty full agenda, so we will get going. We first need to approve the meeting minutes from April 14th, 2025. Can I have a motion?
You got it.
Okay, Jacob, thank you. A second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Bill, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so, now, the first thing I have on our agenda is the saplings / the tree nursery. So as all of you know, we had our tree giveaway in April, and we had a fairly good turnout. And we did have some trees left over. We had a few people after the event still contact us, and we got them trees. But Jacob came over one day because we did not want those trees to go to waste. And we sat down and planted around 40 trees, I believe.
Yeah.
And we put them in buckets. We put a little of the tree growth stuff with them. And they are sitting in my yard beside one of my barns. And they've got plenty of sunlight, and we've been watering them. So until we establish where we're gonna have our tree nursery, they're at my house. And if anyone wants them moved at any time, that's 100% fine with me.
How are they doing?
I go out and check on them. Some of them are doing amazing. Some of them are like, I hope you live, you
Yeah.
know? So it's just kind of,
I think they had said like it's usually a 50-50 thing
Yeah.
in the first place.
it looks like about 50% of them are thriving, and it looks like the rest are struggling. But, you know, you can't give
Good.
up on a tree, because it
Right.
Have you
could.
guys all thought about maybe giving them away at Summer Jam, since there'll be a lot of people there?
Well, these have been planted, and one of our things for the,
Like in the ground?
no, they've been planted in big buckets.
Okay.
So one of the growth award things you can do is start a tree nursery. So we've kind of started a tree nursery. And eventually, if these trees grow bigger and nice, we could consider giving them away in raffles and drawings as nice, big, not just saplings, but nice big trees. But it'll take 3 or 4 years for them to get to that.
So I'm also going to add, so when we went to the conference in Reynoldsburg, a lot of municipalities are starting their own tree nurseries / flower nurseries in order to save money on future tree purchases. So we're doing all the work, so yeah, it's going to be cheaper, but it beats paying $200 or $300 for a tree down the road. So that's another reason why we're starting it. It's kind of like a multitude of reasons. Get a growth award, possibly give them away, possibly put them in the ground in the future, just see where they go.
Yeah, and Jacob had, during the tree sapling giveaway, Jacob had generously bought 3 or 5 trees, I forget.
4.
4, I was wrong. 4 trees, and it did cost him several $100s. So that's what we thought in the future, maybe
yeah.
we'll grow our own trees.
Yeah, like I like the trees I bought were basically about $90 to $150 a piece, and these are trees that are like your planters, like they're your smallest diameter you can get before you start getting into the root ball trees that have the canvas around them and the caging and such.
But they were really nice, and
Oh, yeah.
everyone that won them was very appreciative. So I just want to, in summary of that, just let you all know that, I know we've talked about possibly, getting a spot, and we've talked to Andy possibly about getting a spot over at the old water tower area. If that gets cleaned up and it has just some spot for our compost and possibly for our tree gardens. We talked about the garage area too, but we know a lot goes on up there, so we were trying to hope for a less traffic area. But, so that's just something we've started working on, and we'll give you updates on how those trees are growing and going.
And then another thing I was gonna say is the committee needs to start thinking, if we're gonna go bigger with this, looking into maybe purchasing a small greenhouse or doing a greenhouse that's like the vinyl type that you can just take over a metal structure, like,
Roof house.
yeah, just something that can give whatever we're gonna decide to grow all year round growth, so we can have the best success.
Anyone have any questions, concerns about the starting of the tree nursery?
Well, thank you too for doing that.
Oh,
That's great.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Next on the agenda was a weeding workday. So with that said, last night after a council meeting, I was waiting on my friend to show up to work on Summer Jam, and I went over to the flower bed over at the gazebo, and there are a lot of weeds already. I know we just had the church over there in
May.
early May. There's a lot of big weeds and some dead stuff that needs pulled out, and so I started a little pile over there last night, but I was thinking maybe one day that we could have a work day, maybe in replacing a meeting or just a different day to work on. And it's not just that bed. That bed obviously is the centerpiece of our community, but, you know, the beds at the ends of town. Some of these, we do have to replace one flower in one of those buckets down there. I'm gonna make sure that's done before Friday. But, you know, some of those pots are getting weeds and stuff in them too. And so I was thinking we could work possibly one day, and I reached out to the Community Association too, because one of their main goals, bringing business to the community, doing events for the community, but the other is beautification. And I asked them if they would like to team up and do a work day with us, and they said absolutely. So if you guys are up for that, then maybe we can have one day to spruce things up a little bit out there. What are your guys' thoughts about that?
I definitely can around lunch or right after
Or we
work.
can do it in the evening or whatever's good for everyone, but, actually, I was just out picking weeds. That was one of Jacob's ideas that we really need to get.
Well, I
multiple
just think we
hands.
need to do like a like summer, like just schedule it in like it's an event that we always do, where we just do little like the light maintenance of
Yeah.
the beds and.
Just an hour or two. Nothing, not an all day, break your back, maybe just an hour or two. And if more hands we get, the easier and quicker it goes.
I think we should try to shoot before 4th of July. That way it kind of looks nice again during 4th of July, and then we can think about maybe next year setting more of a permanent, like this is going to be like our mile marker for when
Yeah.
we do our annual de-weeding.
Yeah, what do you guys think over there?
I think that's a good idea. As a matter of fact, I just brought some extra clippers because to deadhead the iris that are over there. And Misty has a question on that for Cheryl. Show her. The seed pods from those.
Can we plant these? Open them up and plant them?
They're from the irises?
Yes.
Let me research that.
Mark
Probably
might know,
need to
too.
dry them out first.
So,
Brandon need to dry and then pop them open with
Yeah,
seeds.
it's cool.
But hold on
I
to
don't
the
know.
pods.
You might be able to do it. I mean,
I'll have to research it. I don't have anything in front of me to
There's,
do
there's
that.
a lot of them.
yeah.
And that's a very cheap way to have more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I do want to say, I know Misty and Cheryl, I believe 2 years ago, possibly 3, we went out to the park and planted that little bed.
Yeah.
In the front.
And it looks beautiful now.
I know.
Almost all of them,
It does.
obviously, I think we had some geraniums or
The begonias probably didn't come
They're
back.
not there, but the purple stuff we planted and the white stuff,
Uh-huh.
it's there and it looks beautiful.
We needed some
But
red
we
to
do
fill
need,
in.
I think there's a little dead tree in there, but we need to stop at the park too on our day to tweak. Because behind the bed is a big another area that has a lot of weeds that are in like a mulch area right behind the flagpole. So that would be another stop. But yeah, we planted those a few years ago and they filled in beautiful. So really no annuals are even needed anymore since those perennials.
Yeah, I noticed it when they had, at Arbor Day.
Yes. And with that said too, at the park, they have hung our Tree City flag.
Oh, wow.
And it looks so nice and makes me very proud. We went out there the other day and I'm like, oh, there it is. And it looks great. So thank you for that. We appreciate that. So,
Maybe on that cleanup day too, power washing out here.
oh,
Like the entrance and the sidewalk.
I think we should do that just in general.
yeah. And yeah,
Yeah.
the gazebo area really could use a good power washing because the birds have visited the
Maybe.
benches and things like that. So we
Well, that
need,
could be a part of our
yeah.
midsummer, like,
Yeah.
kind of refresh.
We'll clean it if there's a mess, we'll clean it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
This
Pretty.
alcove really needs it right coming in the front door. It's a mess.
Yeah, that's what that's what she
Yeah,
was
so
saying. So
we can
yeah,
power
we'll
wash it.
definitely, we'll do that. But I'm looking at my calendar right now. Today's June the 10th. And obviously July 4th is on July the 4th. So we have just about 3 weeks until July 4th. So you guys, I live here in town. What is good for you guys that are traveling, or Cheryl has a full-time job, and Misty, I mean, a lot of you do, so you all have your things. What would be a good day to try to do a cleanup day?
For me, it's Tuesday or Thursday around lunch or after work. It's easy for me to do.
Okay, so Tuesday or Thursday at lunchtime or
that- I mean,
in the
that's an
afternoon? You get
hour.
off at 4?
Yep.
Is that right? So
Probably late afternoon is best for me because
would like a
I'm
4
really
o'clock time be
restricted
better?
right now, so.
4
Yeah,
o'clock?
probably.
Okay.
Tuesdays were good for me.
Tuesday, Jacob, good for you?
Tuesday, Thursdays.
Okay, so it sounds like everybody, if I'm hearing this right, a Tuesday, Bill, you might be unclear, but, so how about Tuesday at 4 PM once she's off work? And then afternoon's good for everybody? And we'll just plan on 1 or 2 hours, so we just bring our gloves, our garden tools, and some trash bags, and just,
What day,
well, that's what we're gonna, so Tuesday, the Tuesday options.
17th or 24th.
17th or 24th, or the 2nd
What?
of July.
Oh, yeah.
So 17th, 24th, or July 2nd.
No, you mean the first.
Oh, first?
Yeah,
Oh.
second's a Wednesday.
Sorry. I'm trying to look on a tiny little phone.
This is my Arbor Day
June
calendar.
22nd.
17th or 24th. It's on a Tuesday,
Or July 1st.
Okay.
or July
Probably
1st.
that close to July 4th is not
Okay.
the best.
So let's stick in
but
June.
What about Tuesday?
Doesn't matter
And
for
if you,
me.
and if you cannot come, I just want to make this clear to everybody, you are all volunteers. We appreciate everything you do. If you cannot come, don't stress about it, okay? 17th?
Let's just do it.
17th. Misty's
And if
voting
we
for
can't come, we can do
next
it the
Tuesday
next weekend,
afternoon.
too.
17th?
4.
17th?
Sound good?
Try.
Hopefully.
Okay, so we're writing down 6th, 17th at 4. And if you can make it, fine. If not, fine. And I will pass that along to the community association and see if we can get some of their people there helping too. Okay?
That'd be great.
All right. And then, new tree maintenance. Cheryl had, spoke about, she was gonna try to visit all the newer trees and feed them and attend to them. And so that's what this is about. But with that said, I sent you, I just recently sent
note.
you a note about the one tree we just
Out there,
planted.
yeah. I haven't been out there
Okay,
yet.
so it was reported to me that it is like dead or dying. And I know we've only had it for like a month.
I'll try to get out there today.
Okay. And if so, does the nursery like replace it? Do they don't have a warranty?
When we
on-
buy wholesale, it is not warranted. So I'll go take a look at it and just see what's going on with it.
Okay.
And then talk to the owner and see if there's
talk him?
anything special he could do for us.
Okay, that'd be great. We appreciate that. I did see that on those 2 new trees, the village has put the water bags around them, and they did that pretty quickly after we got them, so, you know, I don't know what the issue would be, but just take a look, let us know. And maybe you could let us know by next week when we meet again, okay? And then with that said too, you were gonna feed some of these trees and just go out on your own? and-
So we've been accumulating hollytone, which is the organic fertilizer. Where would I find that within the village?
I have a bag you dropped at my house, a big bag.
A great big bag?
Yes,
Okay.
I have that.
So we could do that next week. I could do that next week when
Okay.
I'm out there.
Okay, so I'll bring it,
Okay,
and you can tend to the trees,
okay.
okay?
And we'll have hoses and things like that to get water, to water it in with?
Out at the park, there is an access for non-potable water out there. Can we get into that building to, or could we have one of the guys there with a watering cart or something? Because that needs, I
It
think,
would just
needs
have,
wet down.
it has to be coordinated. So if you just want to, another option would be if you just wish to place the hollytone near the tree itself, we can water it
The
when
next,
we do
Okay.
our next go-round.
Lay it down and then,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And that next go-round, do you guys do that weekly or?
Typically, all of the bags are refilled weekly.
Okay. So I could put bags around all the trees and then they would lay it down and, okay. And then they could have my phone number to call me if they had a question while they were doing it.
Yeah, if you want to pre-measure or,
That's what I'll do.
you know, otherwise, put it out or sprinkle at the base or however it works best, you know, we can water it when we're next out there.
Okay. I can do that.
okay, thank you, Cheryl. At any time, if anyone else has any questions, just stop us. The next thing is a tree flyer for MP alumni. We are, they're having an alumni banquet this weekend on the 14th. And Bill has requested a flyer from the tree committee, and I have someone gonna do that flyer. I'm taking care of doing that flyer. I just wanted to know really your input. What it is just to let all the alumni know. They're people from 50 years ago that went to Madison Plains till current. But to let them know what we're doing as our committee, because we're a newer committee, and seeing if we can get 1, volunteers, 2, funding, so we don't have to always ask the village, you know, for funding, or we can maybe take on some bigger projects if we have more money, things like that. So basically, we're just gonna do a 1-page flyer on highlights, but if there's anything you guys think that needs to be in there, I just thought we would include the events that we do for the community, how we became a tree city and how we got our growth award. Is there anything you guys want to see in that flyer?
When's the banquet?
Saturday.
Saturday.
This Saturday?
Might mention something about the trees that have been planted out at Mason Park.
Okay.
Maybe if they want to adopt a tree with a little plaque or something.
Yes, it's a good idea.
And remembrance.
And do you also go along and mention anything about the containers that we have flowers in that the committee is, well, not that our committee, your committee, the Mount Sterling group?
The community association's putting out a separate flyer to give
Okay.
you as well. So
Okay.
there'll be 2 pages given to you, one from the community association and one
Yeah.
tree committee
Yeah.
about their projects. Okay?
Good. Yep.
Okay.
Secondhand compliment during the tree commission classes. Forrester went out of his way to say what a great job Mount Sterling does with public reach.
Nice.
And so that was
Did
nice.
you go to the sophomore classes?
Yes.
Oh, great.
And now I'm in the,
You'll be a
yeah,
junior.
I just completed the sophomore.
Did, Tom
Tom.
go? Good.
Mhm. We got little certificates.
Nice, nice. Well, definitely let us know when the junior class is about to jump off and, okay. Are there fees around that? I knew for the first time there
$50
was, and we
each
paid
time.
them as a committee. Each time?
$50 each time.
Okay,
So freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior.
okay. Well, if you let us know ahead of time, then we could get the committee to approve to pay for those classes. You have to let us know.
We,
ahead.
we still need to pay for our sophomore class, Tom and I.
Okay.
He let us attend them without, did you pay him? Okay.
Okay,
So
so,
he said it was fine that we paid after the fact.
okay. So, a point of contention has been with finance, with Courtney, these issues called then and nows. So, when we have an established, you can correct me if I'm saying this wrong, when we have an established vendor, such as Darby Creek Nursery or Raps Hardware, and we let her know we're gonna buy something there ahead of time, it's okay. But like, let's say I wanna go down to Bambi's and buy a new flower to replace one of these pots, and then I bring her my receipt. That's a then and now. That's when you buy something before you ask, and it's a little.
And you cannot buy anything without the approval of this committee. So if
Okay.
you are attending these, it has to be approved by a recommendation to allow it to happen. So
Okay.
you can't just go to Bandy's, like she's using an example, and go down there and buy 50 flats of flowers and then give me a receipt.
Okay.
So I'm very clear, and I think every single person in here, and I'm looking at everybody's eyes, that we understand this process, because what's happened now is I will be bringing legislation to council. Council is going to restrict how the process of then and nows are completed, okay? Because we seem to have a problem in committees, and we also seem to have a problem at the time with employees. So it's well-rounded, and I intend to get the process correct
Okay.
for taxpayers' purpose.
So, moving on.
So can we go ahead and bring something up to pay for this now?
Yeah, so your recommendation would be, because this will be a then and now, that $50 that you
Yes.
guys attended, will be a then and now. So what I need, I don't know anything about the vendor, I don't know if they accept checks. The village here.
This is through Alistair again.
Yeah, so we don't know who, well, obviously if it's being paid $50 to somewhere in the courthouse, there's probably a different vendor.
Oh,
So I need to get the, and
Actually, it's to the Ohio Department of Natural
I
Resources.
don't have them set up as a vendor.
Okay.
I don't
And it
have
would
the
be
conference
times
set up.
2. So I should have Alistair send me
I'll need a W-9.
a W-9. And we'll open up a vendor for ODNR.
We'll work out the
Okay.
specifics, I mean, it's not time.
So, and then have him send something stating that Tom and I attended
Mhm.
and that we owe $100.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I would do is, you probably would do it during each session, because it sounds like some people go and some people don't, so it probably wouldn't be responsible if we paid up front. So it would be at a point that the purchase order has to be established before the event happens. So we can create a purchase order, and again, I'm not sure how many people go to this event.
In the
the first time
future,
3 went, and the second time 2 went.
Okay.
and then you have to have attended the previous classes to move
There won't be
forward.
new people going,
Okay.
so
Well, we
it'll.
don't wanna pay $100 if
Yeah.
there's only gonna be one person that goes.
Right, right, right.
You
So what I suggest, what I just want to make clear to this committee is, anytime we have anything that needs to be purchased, just so you don't mess it up, call Courtney and make sure she knows. And she will tell you, well, that's got to go to committee, or, well, they're a vendor, I can do that. So just make sure it's all clear through Courtney, and we won't have any problems.
Perfect.
Okay? All right, moving on.
Well, do you wanna make a, while you're in session now? you
Yes,
probably
make
should
a recommendation.
Oh, okay.
To pay the
The-
one that you all attended as a then and now, so that motion will be a then and now. So I'll just create the motion. Then and now, and that was for $100,
Correct, 50 for each of us.
to ODNR. Okay, and what date did you attend that one?
I have my phone out there.
That's okay, I mean, just roughly what, I mean, was it last month?
It was the end of Monday and Tuesday, no,
Twenty-
Tuesday and Wednesday.
27, 20,
Of
Tuesday,
April?
Wednesday, 27,
April
28.
or May?
27th and May 28th.
May.
Yes.
May.
7th and
Yes.
28th.
All right, so this is a motion to pay the $100 for that session.
Correct.
Is somebody placing that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So in the future, Cheryl, as soon as you, because you're the only one attending, you and Tom, when you get an email from Alistair telling you when the junior one is, make sure you immediately bring it to this committee ahead of time, and we can get it approved.
We have the dates.
Oh.
And I don't have, my phone's out recording the grant message lecture, so I'll know that once I can research my phone
Okay.
or my notes. I can
When is
text
it
it.
coming up before the next?
No, it's, I believe, September, beginning of September.
Make sure you get us that date too. All right. Then next on the agenda, we have the 4th of July parade. And actually Jacob asked me to put that on the agenda because I believe at one time we talked about, we were entertaining the idea of having a float or a truck or something as the tree committee in the 4th of July parade. Is there any interest in that? I will be in the parade no matter what, representing something that I'm involved in. But does the tree committee want to commit to a float or a tree? No. There's a no vote over there. No?
I can't do it.
That's fine.
I can't.
Can't do it? Okay.
I mean, you're welcome to
Yeah,
do it, Jacob.
I'm no too, because I was gonna do my own
Okay.
Oh, okay.
float
there we
this
go.
year. So I just wanted to bring it up just in case you guys,
Yeah, we had
and I
mentioned
wasn't
it
sure
once
where you
before.
guys, I was like, it's coming up.
Yes.
I just can't commit to something like that
That's
now.
fine. But for the general public to know, there will be a 4th of July parade at 10 a.m. on the 4th of July. And even if you don't want to participate as a tree committee member, the general public as well, anybody can be in the parade. You can pull a boat, you can ride a tractor, a bike, you can walk, throw out candy, or wave your flag, whatever you want to do. Anybody and everybody is welcome to participate. Okay.
On that note, too, you said flags. Do you need stick flags?
The Community Association has one box to hand
Okay.
out, so there's 144 in there, so I think we're
That
good.
good? Okay.
So, appreciate it. And then the grant finalization is on here. So, we, as you know, were really rushing to get a grant pulled together when we were told there was a certain deadline. And then because things changed with the administration and grants were temporarily put on hold, the whole, well, we rushed, we got our part of it done. I know some legwork was done by Jacob, and I know you were getting some information too. And then Courtney really did a good job of polishing and shining it and making it all sound very coherent, and we appreciate that. But there are a few little things on the grant that need some definite numbers on, because now that we have been given this extra time, the grant, I believe, is due in August sometime. One of the requirements on a grant was not only to get the council's approval, which they approved us in the minutes a month or two ago, a couple months ago, to write a grant, but according to the grant application, and he expects it now, they want a resolution from council saying that they understand the grant, because the grant is 100% no match. So if we ask for 50,000 and we get it, the village pays 0. But the caveat to that is the village up front would have to sign off, they agree to it, and they would have to pay whatever we start with. Now, semi-annually, every 6 months, we can reimburse the village. So if we got a grant for 50,000 and we say, okay, we want to spend 5 of it right now on trees, and the village had already approved it, they would pay for it, and then we could send ODNR a request for that 5,000 to get them reimbursed. And then maybe, and we have 2 years to complete this project, so it's not like we're gonna ask the village for the whole amount of money up front. It would be gradually over that, and the grant's written really nice, that it explains the phases of.
For the
of
public's
this.
benefit, how big is the grant?
The grant, we can apply up to 100,000,
It's anywhere from 15,000
15,000.
all the way up to 100,000 is what can be applied for.
Yes. We.
I'm not gonna speak on what we've decided.
Well, we were gonna shoot a little lower, and then we started thinking about what we were gonna do, and the project we did finally settle on, is a tree line at the park.
Oh, I'm surprised, because I thought this was gonna be in suburbs as well, like residential neighborhoods. No?
This is.
So it would just be a park improvement.
No, it's a village improvement that initially, this is our very first attempt at a grant. He told us to keep it simple and small.
Well, $100,000 isn't exactly small, but
Well, we're
okay.
not going for 100,000.
Okay.
We are going for, honestly, the number we're really circling around now is around 40,000. Because we have out at the park, where the fence used to be, do all you remember where the white fence was? And that was torn down,
front.
and we were gonna replace it, and then that didn't happen. We were thinking about, in this grant, how great it would be to replace that fence line with natural trees.
So rough math here says that $40,000 and about $250 a tree is 160 trees. That's a lot of trees. And so I'm just wondering if some of those trees could go in residential neighborhoods as well.
Yeah, we could
Because-
spread some of these trees
Because
around.
a tree line of 160 trees would be like, one tree planted every 3 feet. So
That's not what we were asking for. What we were
Yeah.
asking for, there's about 750 roughly, 750 feet.
Yeah.
And we were gonna ask for between 40 and 50 trees to do that, and that would be about every 20 feet, I believe. I did the math at one point.
Yeah, I have a actual, so stop me when I'm wrong, because I want to just say, so I have a Google Earth document with plans with a tree line along there that's about 40 trees, and then at the ends of town, we were gonna do decorative, like low-hanging, like flowering type trees, and then the rest of the money was going to go towards expanding our tree giveaway because that program dried up, so now we have to finance it ourselves. And Alistair was like, hey, you can use this grant money, so that's part of community outreach. And then,
in other words, none of these were gonna go in neighborhoods.
well, that's what I was gonna get to. Did we? I can't remember if
Okay,
I put
the
it
way-
in there or not about doing a tree.
The way the final grant is written, it only addresses the park tree line. It does not address the ends of the town, and the reason being, we were told at certain ends there were electrical cord, or
Overhead.
wires. I think you might have told me that. And honestly, at this end of town, I know at least, there's a lot of trees right behind the entrance to town. This end of town, there's a couple of nice trees there behind that bed too, but I'm not opposed to putting them if we have extra money, but we wanted to make sure that we could cover, because it also has to cover the installation of the trees. And trees are not about 150 each. The ones that we got from Cheryl, the bigger ones for the park, I believe they were $500-600 a piece. Weren't they, Cheryl?
No.
The big silver,
Silver linden
The
maples.
silver lindens, they were probably in the 250,
That's what I
what I'm
remember.
remembering.
If there's lines,
Maybe
is that
it's
the
got
reason
four.
why you don't wanna put them anywhere else, cause of lines?
ones, what do
I
you
don't know,
Well,
I just heard you say there's lines.
Also, it's a mix of, it would be nice to put them in neighborhoods, but it's also like, we have to be responsible for that area. You just can't just plop a tree down in somebody's neighborhood and be like, hey, this is now in your front yard. Like, I get there's that right away, but also there's utilities also planted in those
Other
right-of-ways.
municipalities do this all the time, so I'm sure there's a way to work around that, including asking for volunteers. And so if individuals wish to have, responsibility over that, we can make that go. All I'm saying for is, there are a lot of areas of town with no trees at all in them. And wouldn't it be nice to, hew towards the spirit of the grant itself, which is, if you read it, specifically about urban repopulation of a tree canopy. And I'm just saying that there are a lot of neighborhoods that would look good with trees in them.
One thing that
And I don't disagree with you.
The-
Which is what?
It's all, like, to me, it's the committees, like, me and you agree on that.
Yeah.
But if the rest of the committee doesn't agree on that, then,
Well, I'd like to, this is why you have community input. I mean, the grant specifically requires you to have community input and discuss how you, and document how you actually had your community input. That's what I'm saying, is like, even if it's 40 trees at the park, that means something that obviously we have to maintain. I understand that, especially 40 bags the first year, keeping them filled and all of that, good stuff. Hopefully they take root, they do what they need to get done, but that's a maintenance burden on us and doesn't spread any of the trees out among the rest of town.
Right. Well, I think what happened with this grant in particular is we were under the gun. We got notification of it like a month out or a couple months out. And so we were just trying to throw together a plan. And then we were given advice from Alistair, don't go for the whole big thing, because we wanted to go for the whole 100 grand. Go for something smaller, keep your sites a little more contained. And so we thought, okay, let's pick a project and do it now. This isn't the only time the ODNR grant. It comes up every year or every other year. And it is always a no match.
and on
grant.
top of that,
So-
once they complete their education, that opens up other grant possibilities too in the future.
Well, we're learning a lot, and it sounds almost like we need to have a working group with this grant. One of the things that a working group, and as Andy said about the community outreach, that was something I wanted to talk about. Maybe we send out a little questionnaire to the community. That would be one way of having, but there are different processes. Tom and I, as our homework for this class, with Alistair, will be going around through the whole village of Mount Sterling and doing a site index throughout the whole community of where trees can go and be established
Well, that would be
in the
wonderful.
neighborhoods.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
So perhaps not for this grant, because we won't even have it, we haven't set a date for us to do it, and it's gonna take a lot longer than Alistair thought for us to do this. But these are some of the processes that will help us perhaps next year or the following year apply for a larger grant with those specific needs being met.
Right.
Yeah, it is neat, because, you look at some of the cities and they have, there's ways of putting the trees out in the sidewalk, like like say if it was out here, to where it doesn't get down into the lines. And that looks really pretty, and that's interesting. And another thing, I was going around town, one thing that I could not find, which was pine trees. There's one pine tree I found in town, and I'm sure I probably missed some, was at the beginning, at the Y by the car wash. That was the only big pine tree that I could find.
Unless I'm mistaken, I kind of brought that up in our class, that I'm an evergreen lover.
I am too.
And this is more for deciduous trees, what their goals are.
Yeah, that one sure looks pretty out there.
So I do want to say in the grant as well that Courtney so graciously helped us. She did see some of those specs that you did need to meet. And one of those specs was how we do involve the community, and she did list all the projects that we currently do. She also said once this got started, that we could have, that we should maintain a place on the website, like a newsletter about the trees.
Oh.
And I agree.
That's a great
But
idea.
there was one other thing, I think, that we're gonna send out a survey, because you can get those, what do you call them, something monkey?
Yeah, monkey wrenches or.
Yeah, and we can send out those.
Yeah, I know, I've used them.
And they're free.
Yeah, and we could do that, that
Do
would,
you all wanna have a copy of the grant so that you can see what I have
Yes, that
prepared?
would be so helpful.
I have a question.
yes.
Do we get to choose the size of trees we are buying?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
The
we,
grant doesn't
What is the
specify
range?
the height or anything like that.
the heights of the widths, what it does specify in the grant as well, that we will have a mixture of different trees. So we didn't want to pin ourselves in and saying we're getting elm and oak and pine. We just said we are going to get a variety of trees that, you know, are compatible and have them properly spaced to have a tree canopy per se towards the park. I agree with Andy, Misty, that some of these spots, these tree canopies that used to be down Main Street and are beautiful, and we do need to try, maybe in our next grant, work towards, you know, getting those reestablished, and in these neighborhoods that don't have trees, 100%. But we do need feet on the ground, actually out surveying and doing all that.
Does that grant include, like the bags, the watering bags? or-
It can,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we can tell them that we need the trees, we need the bags, we need to pay for the manpower for George and Joe to put them in, or we're gonna do a community and we're gonna put them in, or
the
we can
equipment,
include that
anything.
all
Oh, it's
in the
like,
grant.
he even said, like, put Courtney's hours, like however many hours Courtney, like, just everything.
Yeah.
Like, from planning all the way down to getting
Administrative.
it done.
Yeah, so there's a lot of unexpected expenses that I'm sure are gonna pop up. So that's why my recommendation was go more towards the $40,000 mark. And see what happens. Yes.
Plain City received a grant last year and purchased their trees from us, and we also worked an installation charge into that.
Right, and I
So-
had
and
asked
it
you
was
if you
covered
could
by
get
the
us a
grant.
quote on an installation, just so we knew. Maybe it would be a better
Size
use
of trees.
of our time and money to have them installed as to have our own people do
Mm-hmm.
it. You know, maybe that would work out better, especially if we had the funds to do it.
And we wrote in, for their grant, an installation charge with the different trees that they were doing.
Right,
If you're thinking 40, I would say work that charge in.
yeah, yeah. So, but I do need those numbers. I mean, Courtney has 99% of this grant done. We just need to plug in some final numbers. And then, you know, maybe we could write in something, extra trees will be used as the village deems.
Why
You know.
can't you just designate a dozen or 20
Right.
trees for a community and not get so specific that we
Right.
lose our flexibility to use them elsewhere?
Right, I
Well,
agree.
I have
Can you
a,
raise money on those trees?
Yes, well, that's another thing. Out at the park, that's something I think we were gonna put in the alumni letter, the adopt a tree. One of you mentioned something about that, because there already is something established for adopt a tree. You can, for $500, you can adopt one of our established trees, a new tree, and
One out front here.
right, and it'll have a little nameplate at the base of it. It can be a in memory, or it can be just the Martin family, you know, or whatever. We can have a little plaque made and a tree for $500, and it's a win-win. It's a win for the family, and it's a win for the community. So,
Was-
with that said, absolutely, we need to pretty soon start focusing on trying to get some
Community.
community, some tree buying going on.
Was that through the Chamber of Commerce, the
No,
adopted
it was
tree?
originally through Parks and Rec.
Oh, through Parks and Rec,
They
okay.
have a bench program where you can adopt a bench, and they also have an adopt a tree program. But again, that was just for the park. We could have a community-wide adopt a tree and put them other
well, yeah, like
places.
Reynoldsburg was the one that, like, we really started realizing we were like, this is a good idea. Reynoldsburg basically like, just like we sell benches, they sell trees, and he's like, we do it at cost, but we're gonna raise the price to make it a little, like, cause we're losing money on it, but, he's like, they do this little plaque that they put in concrete, and it just says the person's name or in memory, and it's like everywhere. Like, people are like, wherever the village will plant, they will do these trees. So it's like, it's not regular. Like, heck, some people, I guess, were putting them in front of their house.
Well,
Hey,
they
whatever.
paid for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is something we do need to pick up the ball and run with the tree dedication program here soon. Okay.
Are ornamental trees included or just deciduous?
Ornamental and
You can do
deciduous, yeah.
ornamentals too,
Excuse
'cause
me on the
a
deciduous.
lot of the
I mean,
ornamentals.
you're a master
Kinda
gardener.
over our
You went-
head there.
So deciduous means,
Loses its
Just
leaves every
loses
year.
the leaves,
Oh,
follow
okay.
the seasons,
Like
right?
your oaks.
okay.
So there are both.
Ornamentals bloom a lot of
Okay.
times, so
No,
like
it
a
can be an
red bud
ornamental
or
tree.
dogwoods. or,
Absolutely.
A lot of them, like a flowering crabs and things like that, they grow quite a bit shorter and can be more appropriate to use in
Right.
the right-of-ways in town.
Don't they also,
because
though,
You don't
have
get tall.
disease issues, though? I mean, they can,
Some-
ornamentals are a little
Yeah,
shaky
some-
when it comes to getting bitten by weather and
Some.
disease,
So
yeah.
it's actually kind of interesting, Andy. So at one of the biggest vendors in the Northeast for trees that grows trees, they're starting to get these things called native R's, and these are basically trees that aren't native to your area but have been genetically modified to be hardy and be more. So you're going to be able to get into some of those.
Disease resistant
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, and it's a mix between your deciduous and they've got ornamentals. It just, the thing is, a lot of these are maybe 3 years out. They're saying are when they're
The
gonna
main thing
hit.
would be to not, plant something that's gonna fall ill to, emerald ash borer or blight or whatever.
Well, yeah,
and
so that's
all your
what-
hard work's undone, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that's why a lot of those native R's were actually created. They've been in the process for 20 years apparently, and the emerald ash borer thing is why a lot of these genetic people went with these. So hopefully you're right. Hopefully a new disease doesn't crop up from these.
There's
but-
quite a few trees that,
Yeah.
we have decades of experience with in Ohio that we know that are pretty hardy here, that grow well here and pretty disease resistant.
Well, I think their
that we
thing
can choose
was,
from.
is they were talking about mixing. So taking your actual natives and then doing these native R's so that you get even more diversity than you already have.
Diversity is good because if you do get a bug, it doesn't kill all the same trees at once. It'll kill a couple of trees and you can, just take them out and replace them. You don't want something that if you have your boulevard in one tree and it gets diseased, they're gonna wipe out the whole
Right.
boulevard. So even there, you might wanna plant, every third tree or something in a different tree.
Right. Okay, since we got started 8 minutes late, we're at 1:58, so we do have just 10 minutes left of this meeting. So I'm gonna work, if any of you want to call me and give me some input on the grant more, feel free. But I'm gonna work with Courtney to get it finalized and get it submitted. I know it's an August deadline, but I'd be we're gonna have to take it to council. My next council meeting, I'm gonna make a motion here to send this to council. But what I wanna do is send it to council for approval of what we're requesting. Let them know the amount we want, let them know what we wanna do with it. And then hopefully, there's no cost to the village, but hopefully they'll agree to pay the upfront cost and get reimbursed. Because this is just a win-win. When you don't have any match money, it's a good grant. So I will do that, but I would need to make a motion now to have that legislation sent to council. So would someone like to second it?
Okay, so I'm kind of unclear
Okay.
what we're sending to council.
Okay.
So if you guys haven't created the grant and reviewed the grant, what would you be sending to council?
The grant, after you and I finish it.
Okay, without the committee to look at it?
well, you're gonna give it to the committee now, right? And they're gonna be able to take it home, call me, and we'll have a week or two. If they have any questions, concerns, comments, additions. And then, I mean, we don't meet again at council for 2 weeks. And I would just hope at that point, we could ask council, because again,
You're not
according,
gonna take, you're not
Yeah,
gonna
there's
get
going to be a
final
recommendation from committee?
Yeah, that's.
I
usually
mean,
what happens.
usually that's the normal
that's what I'm
process,
trying to make right now, is a recommendation from this committee.
but they haven't seen the grant yet.
Right.
Is it cart before horse?
Yes, cart before horse. I feel pretty confident once they see it. We just can't keep delaying it, because if council, for some reason, wants to do it on 3 readings, that's gonna take 6 weeks, and that's 3 readings, 6 weeks from when we do it, which is 2 weeks from now, so you're talking about 8 weeks.
sorry.
So we would really be,
Right there.
yeah. So, I mean, if we want, we can have another trees meeting next week before the cleanup. We can call a meeting on the 17th at 3:45 or something, and have everybody review it, and then make a recommendation to approve the grant, and then so we can have it ready a week later for council. Does that sound something everyone would be willing to do? But I'm telling you, next week, if we call a meeting, we have to have at least 4 people show up to that meeting to have a quorum, okay? So we have a 7-person committee, we need 4 people to make sure they're here next Tuesday, okay?
Who's the 7th person?
Tom.
Oh,
So, yes on that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask now that we have a meeting. I'm gonna make a motion that we have a meeting next Tuesday,
Is that June the 17th?
June the 17th,
3:45?
at 3:45. And we will discuss, hopefully, the grant for 15 minutes or so, or whatever it takes, and then we'll have our work session outside after. Does that sound good to everybody? So I'm making that motion. Would someone like to second that?
You got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
Can we stop by and pick up a copy of the grant, or?
Yeah, I was gonna email all to you guys after this. meeting.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. So the last thing, and again, we only have 6 minutes left, the oldest tree project. So, we had big dreams of having a Founder's Day on the 26th of June is when Mount Sterling was founded. I don't believe that we have time to accomplish that this year. So I would like to just encourage us to continue to work on the oldest tree. I have a call in to the Masons for equipment, and I've told them, we just need one more day out there. We have Curtis Swaggerty coming. I brought that up before, but he is coming to look at the trees that do need cut down, that Alistair said, to give us a price on those. If he has those numbers before next meeting, I'll bring those numbers with me as well. But my suggestion is that we shoot, Jacob reminded me that next year is the 200th anniversary of the country. So
50th.
250, that's what I meant to say, 250 for the country. And that maybe that be a more realistic goal, that we try to have that area ready and presentable for the public in a little park-style situation and all manicured nicely by June 26th of 2026. What are your guys' thoughts? I don't think we can get it done in a few weeks.
I think it's a good idea just because, like Alistair's brought up chip drop, but chip drop, more I've researched it, the more I've realized it could become a very problematic. They just drop them. And
Let's
with
talk
there
about
not
mulch.
and with there not being like an address out there, it could easily turn into a situation where Andy's like, Becky, why did they drop chips in front of the gate to the water plant? We need access to the water plant, and a whole debacle. So we're also, that's another avenue that I'm looking into is a more, can we get more solid address for them to get, or is there a vendor that we can go to that might give us a deal on chips and, you know, stuff like that. That's like finishing touches, of course. But then the other thing is, Cheryl, there's a lot of, and Alistair brought this up, there's a lot of, like not trees popping up, but like the residuals, and
Honeysuckle.
so we
and
need to like
that.
cut a lot of those and then paint the
Herbicide.
tips.
Herbicide, yeah.
All the volunteer plants.
Yeah, like all that stuff, paint them and do it in a way that we're not gonna harm.
Do you remember last year when we were out there? I mean, the Masons did their thing, but we also did a lot of the mowing along the entranceway and stuff. That's all grown up again. It really needs,
Cause
some care out there too.
so this is what I'm gonna say is like our laundry list of like stuff that we need to do and how we do it. Knock down that berm, whether that's people haul off the dirt or we use the dirt for the water, whatever, wherever it needs to go, it needs to go. Have Swaggerty cut down the one trees, move the millings into a place, and then we're gonna need, to be able to do this, we're gonna need to at least have a tracked skid steer with a brush attachment, a claw attachment, and a bucket attachment. And then we're gonna have to figure out who or how we're gonna deliver chips. Whether that's they get delivered somewhere and the guys put them in the dump truck and dump them over there, or we go through a vendor contractor that just like Jones Topsoil comes out there with a truck, slings it for us, however we decide to come to it. So the big thing I think is just money and time. Like if you want to get it done quick, it's going to cost a lot more money than we thought. If we can get volunteers and donations and stuff, that's going to be slower but more cost effective.
So there are a type of herbicides that give you a whole year kill. But then nothing, the ground is fallow for a year, wherever you use that.
Well, I don't think we're planning. I think our ideal was, because Alistair said cover that whole area with chips. Don't put grass or
Smother
don't
anything
put
out.
anything that like has to grow. Just put chips down, and that should be enough. So that would work unless it hurt. Like my thing is doing whatever doesn't hurt the tree, the oldest tree, because
So you wouldn't go more than 2 to 3 inches, so you're not changing the growth line around the tree
Yeah.
when you lay chips down. And I believe that when you spray herbicide around trees, that your tree roots do intake it. It's kind of
Well, yeah, like-
50-50 out there.
yeah, because we got a lecture from Reynoldsburg about how a vendor of theirs killed 250 trees of theirs just because they over applied glyphosate or 2,4-D. It was 2,4-D they were putting down, and they killed a bunch of stuff off that they didn't mean to.
Okay. So, did anyone, we only have 1 minute left. If no one wants to extend the meeting, does anyone have any final thoughts or questions?
Well, the other question I have, since Andy's here, is do we have something lined up for the street sweeper?
Yes, we do.
How soon was that going to happen?
Probably at the end of the month or early July. We always do it in the spring or early summer and in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, we could do it before even before Memorial Day. Is that too soon?
That's a great idea, but we're basically working on the generosity of others.
Right.
And so they get it first.
Sure. Yeah.
So we get it whenever we can.
Good.
But yeah, earlier in the year is always better.
Yeah, especially for the 4th, especially next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
That it? Okay, at 2:08, meeting is adjourned. And we'll see everybody next week at 3:45.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question, Andy. Is there anything keeping me, say I